what did you think?
I really enjoyed the show. I thought the collections were at a high level in general, but I had a rather easy decision. My favorite was number 13. I don't know how you say that.
Elzien Gringhuis was your favorite. The one with the big orange coat with that had like no visible hands.
Yes.
That one. And your?
I was thinking it was difficult, more difficult than last year. Last year I agreed with the winner, Ivo Middelmeyer. It was also my favorite. But this year it was harder to choose. I also liked number 13. I liked number 9. But I finally chose for number 10. Selina Parr from Arnhem. I like that one most.
And did you see an overall theme?
I think that's very difficult. There were a lot working on like patterning or form and construction. There was a lot about lines in fabric and in using stripes as a line.
Yeah.
And yeah, but that's going on for a long time, this kind of work. But what I really was intrigued by is that everyone's looking for a new overall shape, like a sort of apple silhouette. And that was what I find most striking in Moscow.
Like no classical dresses, but something new.
Yeah, something new.
Do you think, because you see a lot of international shows, do you think that the show has any links to global trends?
Yeah, I think there were certain references, like Hussein Chalayan, Gareth Pugh, Balenciaga. And my favorite actually was quite a reference to Balenciaga, but it wasn't a copy or anything.
Okay, yeah. And José, you're very much related to the Dutch academies, and do you see differences between the Dutch academies?
I think it's different from 10 or 15 years ago, because, and they used to be very different in some way, like Rietveld working very in an arty way, and Arnhem also related to a sort of concept, but also trained very much in the making of clothing. And other ones like The Hague, for instance, they got a new head of the department coming from Belgium, and you now see that they're trained in a Belgian way, and it's interesting too.
How can we see that someone is trained in a Belgian way? Yeah. How do you see that?
It's a combination of using a concept, but also having a technical tailoring approach, and in that combination, it's new for The Hague, and I think the last years they're bringing interesting designers, but still I think there is something like a Dutch mentality towards clothes, because in all those schools you see that they're very much on form and construction and on concepts.
But that's what Dutch fashion's always been known for like form and construct and soberness. Yeah. So that actually is still on.
And being experimental, that still is on. And I think that is the strong thing about Dutch fashion. It's also their weak point, because translating that towards industry or commercial product, it's difficult.
Do you agree with that? Do you think Dutch fashion is experimental?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, going back to Victor and Rolf, Niels Clavers, even Oscar Suleiman, I think, yeah, it's definitely a trait. But also that it's modern, it's clean, it's not about vintage clothing and nostalgia.
José, what do you think, because you're related to a lot of Dutch fashion projects, what do you think of the current Dutch fashion scene?
I think there's a lot happening in the Dutch fashion world. The coming of the Amsterdam Fashion Week, but also Red Light Fashion. And I think there are a lot of projects. There's a lot more going on than 10 years ago. And that's important for getting a sort of feeling that there is a Dutch fashion existing for the Dutch people, for the Dutch government, for the Dutch politicians.
Yeah, it seems more young designers are getting actually grounded, like Daryl opened a shop and Percy's opening a shop, whereas they only debuted like, well, 5 seasons ago. So that actually says that there's a market for it.
So there's definitely more interest, and I think it's very important that all these projects are going on, all this new, and more important even is that they start to work really together to become stronger.
What do you think, Diane?
I think what's really impressive, though, is like the whole idea for the red light district and all the opportunities that emerging talents are given, both with the store window, the atelier. It's support they don't get other places.
Yes, the red light district is quite impressive. And you were also impressed by Lichting?
Yes, like I said, I thought the level was really high. It's definitely, as good as any other international schools. There are some collections that were more schoolwork, and others are more refined and perfected.
Yeah.
But there was always some kind of individual statement coming out.
I just thought myself that it was all pretty dark and the music was quite depressive. And I was just wondering, does that say something about the current, fashion climate?
I didn't think it was that dark, actually. Especially, I thought there was a lot of white, too.
Yeah.
I mean, there were rats
but not
and things like
really
that,
colorful.
No, but I thought it was more clean and clinical than dark and... I don't know. I mean, that was my opinion.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of minimalistic, like terughoudend.
Yeah.
And there was only one very colorful, fresh one with flowers, and that was
but there was just one.
I also read the concepts.
Yeah.
And then I mentioned that there was a lot on sustainability and on consumerism and organic. So there is a sort of seriousness about what the future of fashion can be, and if we have to be concerned about our environment. I think that is an issue in fashion. But I don't agree that it was depressive.
Well, who do you think is going to win? Your favorite?
Oh, my favorite probably won't win. But it's still my favorite. I thought it was the collection that was the most aboutir.
I think it will be a hard thing. There will be 2 or 3 that will have almost the same kind of votes, I think. But I don't know.
Then let's see who actually is the winner.